Everyone. It's a pleasure to have you all for this very distinguished guest lecture, which we organize every month, which includes Anthropologist of the Month. We are very happy to have Dr. Rajni Lamba today, and she will be giving a talk on body art, transcending centuries of meanings, myths, and identity. And I would request Rakhi to introduce our speaker straight away. And a bit on our foundation. There may be a couple of new participants who may not be knowing about the foundation. Just a line or two on the foundation and Dr. Rajni Lamba, and then we'll look forward to hearing her. Over to you, Rakhi.
Thank you, ma'am. Hello, good evening. I am Rakhi Yadav, Internet AIF, and a very warm welcome to everyone who has joined us this evening for this lecture. We are extremely excited and delighted to welcome you this another distinguished guest lecture, which is titled Body Art Transcending Centuries of Meanings, Myth and Identity by Dr. Rajni Lamba. Before we start, I would like to take a moment to introduce Anthrops India Foundation and our founder, Dr. Sujita Reddy. Founded in 2011, Anthrops India Foundation promotes the discipline of anthropology, its philosophy, and its method to engage in applied and action research. Our work seeks to address issues of local communities through a bottom-up approach unique to their culture and people. We conduct community-based research rooted in local knowledge, system, local culture, and ecology to inform policy initiative and drive transformational impact. AIF also conduct workshops, trainings, and advocacy on various issues, especially on children. AIF promote visual anthropology through vibrant, authentic, meaningful ethnographic film and photo documentation. We also publish a quarterly multilingual digital magazine, Childhood Matters, and a monthly magazine, Anthro Bulletin, along with our own publishing house called Anthrops Books. Our founder, Dr. Sunita Reddy, is an associate professor at the Center of Social Medicine and Community Health, Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi. I also would like to take a moment to formally introduce our guest speaker for this lecture, Dr. Rajni Lamba. Dr. Rajni Lamba is an anthropologist and CEO of the Rural Environmental Enterprises Development Society, leading initiative for sustainable livelihoods and grassroots development. She earned her PhD from Panjab University under Professor Shalina Mehta, focusing on the Baiga and the Gond community of Madhya Pradesh, reflecting her deep engagement with indigenous and marginalized groups. She has served as a consultant with UNICEF, WHO, UNESCO, UNFPA, UNAIDS, OXFAM, and various government bodies. Her expertise spans enterprise development, microfinance, and training programs that empower tribal and marginalized community through skill building, collective effort, and sustainable microenterprise. Widely traveled in India and abroad, Dr. Lamba works to conserve and promote indigenous craft, industries, and livelihoods, ensuring cultural preservation alongside economic growth. Currently, she is actively involved in grassroots level flood relief, construction, and rebuilding work in Punjab, building scholarship with practice to strengthen community resilience. Thank you. And over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Rakhi, for introducing our speaker today. Sabha, can you start the presentation? And over to you, Dr. Rajni.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Anthropos. And thank you, Professor Sunita Reddy, for giving me this opportunity to present something which I have been working closely on for almost now 2 decades, or a little over that. Because in 1992 through 1994, while I was conducting research for my doctoral degree in Baiga. Baiga was an area comprising 5 blocks across 5 districts in what is today divided across Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh areas. These are the thickly forested areas where these tribals, the Baiga, who are known as the medicine men of the Gond, which is our largest tribe in the country, they dwelt. And while living with them, it was a beautiful, I'm grateful to my mentor, Professor Shalina Mehta, because she told me that if you want to really experience tribal life, you should go and live there. And as a true anthropologist, you'll only be able to understand the real ethos of those communities once you interact with them very, very closely. I will share my personal field experiences also as I go through my presentation. I've put together a few slides which we will be sharing with the help of Sabha. The whole idea for my writing this paper currently is to kind of examine how tattoos and tattooing have transcended centuries. I mean, ages ago we had our tribals. Even there is mention of tattooing in our Vedas also. Godana, as it is called, among the Madhya Pradesh tribals. It has been going on for a long time, and it has been going on all over the world in various communities. And it is not just a phenomenon limited to tribals, it has been going on among communities in the urban areas as well, and even rural areas. Now, I find, yes, Sabha, could we go on with the presentation? That I will not be reading entirely from the presentation because it's before you. I'll continue with my experiences as well. Uh, I realized that tattooing in Madhya Pradesh among the tribals, among the Baiga, was not just a form of decoration. Today, we talk of body art. Body art is a presentation of uh, different patterns, designs on the physical body, on the physical human body, which have been markers of all sorts of, things like identity, that I belong to a particular tribe, I belong to a particular caste, I belong to a particular clan. Or they were used as treatments, which even, I mean, almost thousands of years ago, we have heard of bloodletting, we've heard of leeches being used, and this tattooing was also a form of cure where tattooing on certain parts of the body was expected to relieve the malady which was striking somebody. Now, these illnesses or maladies could be physical or psychosomatic also. I would just like to briefly dwell on the history that, as an identity marker, tattooing has been around for a very long time, where the markers, the identity also has not been very flattering at sometimes. In certain colonial areas, tattooing was done to mark criminals. The fleur de lis was an infamous tattoo used in France, where people who were criminals or people who had been, sentenced were marked with this particular tattoo, and it was usually done on the arm or sometimes even on the forehead, so that everybody who saw such a sign would know that this person was to be ostracized. Then on to, over the centuries, going through uh, various forms, various usages, we find that the Indian context of the tattoo has been very, very different. We've had tattoos since the Vedas. Our scriptures talk about Bodhana. And there have been very esoteric reasons for getting this tattooing done. One form, of course, was the healing aspect. It was used for that. But in Madhya Pradesh, when I was doing my research, I came across a very new concept. There, the women said that this is the only jewelry that will go with us to our afterlife. Now, that was such a beautiful concept. One never thought that one would want to carry some jewelry also when one goes from this world. But they firmly believed that the tattooing of a woman was her jewels, which she wore even after she passed on from this mortal world. Now, as we go on, we find some of we could change the slide, please. Whether it's thousands of years or it is just a few decades, tattooing has had a presence worldwide where, on the one hand, we have our tribal women and our tribal men who wear these tattoos very proudly for various reasons. And on the other hand, we have the urban milieu of tattoo holders who are having
Dr. Rajni, you've been muted. Can you please unmute?
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Do I need to repeat or should I carry on?
This last line, maybe.
Uh, Basically, I was talking about how tattooing has become an identity marker over the years. Among the tribals, it was a sort of identity where a person belonged to a certain body. And the same concept has carried on even today, where we have bodybuilders and bouncers who are having uh, certain tattoos which delineate them or make them very exclusive as members of body of people who can be very intimidating. Now, I have attempted in this presentation to explain how tattooing has evolved, and today how is it that we still stick to some of the reasons of the past but have gradually evolved to things which are now even um, more definable, in the sense, how does a tattoo give a person a self of confidence, give a person a sense of belonging? Can we have the next slide, please? Now please see, these are some of the ancient tattoos which have been found in areas of Egypt, South America, and most parts of the Polynesian regions. As you see, the tattooing is almost all over the body. But the interesting part is there is a story behind this. All this tattooing is not done at one time. The tattooing is done in phases, and each of these phases signifies a certain stage in the life of that individual, whether it's a woman or it's a man. Next, please. Many cultures have looked at tribals. Now, this is one of our women who has got her arms elaborately tattooed. Actually, with age, these tattoos tend to fade also. So many a times they have to be refurbished. We have to, reinstate those tattoos. But the meaning does not change. A woman, when she is, say, about 8 years old, the tattooing begins then. I'm talking about my experiences in Madhya Pradesh, where I have seen girls of 8 years old being taken to the Ojanin or the wife of the Oja and getting the tattooing process started. So at 8, when the tattooing is done, there are certain symbolic designs made on her body which talk about her identity, who she is, whom she belongs to, what kind of an area does she live in. Then, across the years, till she attains puberty, the tattooing process goes on. It's almost every summer that the tattooing goes on. Every summer, she gets a new patch of designs on her body. Till in the end, when she gets married, she finally gets the tikuli. Tikuli is the on the forehead, a design is made, a three-leaved clover kind of a design is made, which signifies her marital status. Interestingly, all those designs on her body, if a trained person or any other tribal is looking at those designs, can say when this girl was born, or how old was she when she got married, or how old was she when she got her first period also. So the tattoos tell stories of the lives of those people, besides being markers of their identity and besides having other meanings also. Now, we have had, next slide please, tattoos coming up from as early as 3250 BC, where the Iceman was found. Odzi was an Iceman And on his body, the tattoos are very well preserved. So you can well imagine if thousands of years ago tattooing was around, then its meaning has transcended over time, over space, and into the populations of even today. Tattoo in itself, the word came from Polynesia, where the process of tattooing has been elaborately adopted. People even today, some of the very prominent, you'll find film, personalities still go around with a lot of tattoos, and their tattoos again tell stories, their journeys, their lives, and how they have evolved through these journeys, whether they were with their parents, whether they were with a group of people, whether they were on a hunt, or they had gone on a seafaring voyage. All these stories have been depicted on their bodies, and anybody, before, even without saying any words, they can decipher and know where this person is coming from. I mean, like just now, before giving me an introduction of I'm so and so and I belong here, had my forehead been tattooed or my face been tattooed, you would have been able to make out, okay, where I'm coming from and what I've done. So this is a very unique science. It's a very unique form of expression which has taken up the form of body art today and has been taken to a very high level of technicality, I would say, and technological inputs. We had explorers like James Cook, and we've had sailors taking these tattoos across the oceans to the continents. So much so, now we have tattoos all over the world. It is said that even King George V had found it fashionable to get himself tattooed. And I'm sure those of us sitting here can remember our parents or aunt or uncle, somebody having a tattoo on their hand or on their arm where they had inscribed the name of their father or their own name or their wife's name. These days, of course, it's fashionable to have their, boyfriends or girlfriends' names. But back in those days, it was very fashionable to have their tattoo on their hand.
I think that's network. Dr. Rajni, can you hear us?
I think there is some problem in connectivity.
She got disconnected? No.
Yes, network problem.
Right. Yeah, Dr.
Yeah,
Rajni.
am I there? Am I back?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we can.
you are back.
Yeah. Thank you. Sorry. Can you go?
Welcome.
Next slide, please. Yeah, you can see these are Polynesian tattoos, and this is a very famous actor of the Hollywood films. See the intensity of the tattooing, and this is traditional Polynesian tattoo work, which he's gotten done because he himself belongs probably to that area. Now, this kind of tattooing is still available all over the place in India also, and areas which are beyond India as well. But this tattooing is now you find most of these gym people or most of these bouncers and wrestlers and all, they go around with such tattoos. For them, this has another meaning. We have people who are, please take the next slide. We have motorcycle gangs in America which wear such tattoos. So, like I said, this groupism formed by the tattooing patterns or the tattooing designs is a very interesting thing which needs to be dwelt into. And I feel we in India should actually look, we've got a rich heritage. We have a rich past of tattooing going on among our tribals, among our rural populations, and even among our urban people. And it would be a good idea to explore how this is now developing into a newer area where newer stories are being concocted. Next slide, please. Now, if you can see the two pictures where I've shown you, one of the older ladies with the tattooing on her forehead and a newer lady. These are Inuit women. They get their faces tattooed and very much like our women's, markers of marital identity. Our Indian women wear sindoor, they wear a bindi, they wear shankapola, they wear, what do you call it, a Mangal Sutra. So these women also have their identity marked, their marital status marked with these tattoos. Next, please. I would like to just suggest that what everybody else is doing, India has done long time ago. So, as with other phenomena, tattooing too was in India ages before it was anywhere else. So, 10,000 years ago, we had tattooing happening in India, and there is documented proof of it. But as usual, our stint under the British, the 200 years that we had of colonial rule, they made it out to be something very dirty, as they considered tattoos to be hideous customs and very, very barbarian. And they called the tattoos being very primitive. Now, nothing very new, because a lot of our traditions have been mocked at for whatever they were. And later, now it is the very same Westerners who are coming back to the same line of thought. So, and I'm happy to note that our youngsters are more discerning now. They understand that whatever was past, whatever was considered so-called modern, now can be evaluated with a fresher perspective on what actually was in the past and how we have dwelled on it. Now, the Indian perspective on tattooing. Can you go to the next slide, please? Now, you'll see tattoos are considered as a protection, as a talisman, or as a charm. Tattoos are the markers of community, caste, clan identity. They have a symbolic meaning, and they have cosmetic beautification purpose also. Where, as I told you, our Baiga women, they have been using them as jewelry. And then on different parts of the body, these tattoos have a different tale to tell. The Indian tattoo practices are linked with a number of myths and legends. In some parts of India, you'll find even the story of Ram and Sita, the mythological epic Ramayana, and that is depicted on the bodies of people. They can say that, okay, when he left for Vanvas, or when Hanuman came into the picture, these emblems, I would say, are very clearly identifiable. So this also shows how aware and alive our generations of people have been in the past about our scriptures and about, I mean, it really, I get incensed when people say that these ignorant primitives and these ignorant tribals. I know all of us, it's a very short fuse that we have to hold on to. But you realize how educated and how wonderfully informed they were about everything, about the scriptures and about various aspects of normal life. I have seen tattoos, and in my some of my discussions with the Ojas in Madhya Pradesh, I found that they were very aware of the Vishnu Dharmotra Puran. They knew how it is that an artisan should work, what should he do before he is to start, or what god should he invoke before going in for a tattoo making session. So that's really amazing. Can we have the next slide, please? These pictures are basically culled from various sources, and they're to show how detailed the tattooing work has been over these centuries. Next, please. Now, the art of tattooing has been called by different names. It's Godana. I have known it as Godana for a large part of the tribes in India, but in some areas it is called Tajuba or Kokana. And it must be very much different in other tribes also, where we have tribes like the Apatani, and we have the tribes like the Mizo and the Naga. All of them have some markers of tattooing on their body. Of course, they are specific people who make those. Like I said, in Madhya Pradesh, I came across the Oja's wife, who is the designated person for making those tattoos. And she has her equipment, she has her dyes, and she is the expert who knows how the healing process will go on and what the healing process will be, and also when the tattooing is to be done. Now, among the Baiga, I found that, people say that they do not give any anesthesia or anything But yes, I heard that most of the people who went in for tattooing were given copious amounts of mahua to drink. It's called handia or mahua or whatever, dialectical variations there are. But the person would be drinking, the person who was being tattooed would be drinking this from the night previously if they were to get tattooed on the afternoon of the next day. So they were almost always in a stupor. But this drinking of mahua would go on for 2-3 days so that the person feels the least discomfort, because the hand swells up, there is bleeding, and there's all kinds of, uh, uh, you know, uh, these sores are formed, boils are formed. So to take care, the Ojinin does not leave her tattoo person, and she always looks after that person with almost motherly care, because various kinds of lapes or salves are put on the wounds, especially fresh gobar or cow dung is used to cover it so that it is disinfected and the curing happens. The curing takes a good 10 to 15 days. And I've seen even in the tattoos these days, they do take similar precautions. And many a times this healing process goes on for almost 10 days before the tattooing is done. Um, I just like to share my little asides, because my daughter got some tattooing done, and the first tattoo she got done, she came home and she was like, when I was more scared that you might get infected or something might happen, but I find that they had covered it very nicely, and after about 5-10 days the tattoo subsided, and the swelling subsided, and the tattoo came out very nicely. So these modern people, this was just a small tattoo which she had gotten done. She got blessed written on her wrist. Now, after that, seeing these elaborate tattoos on the bodies of men and women, I will be sharing those slides with you. Can we go on to the next slides, please? We like some pictures. Sabha, can you shift the slide, please? Yeah, you can see what an elaborate tattoo this one is, and how much agony this woman must have gone through just to get it done. But it's a work of art. Now, this is the art which is going to live forever on the body of this person. And of course, when she's an old shriveled lady, probably the tattoo will also undergo changes. But that work of art is there. And sadly, these tattoo artists are not as celebrated as some of our artisans are, some of our painters or people who make world class art. Next, please. Yeah, that's again. You'll be saying that I have only women, I've picked up women, tattoos. But I find that it takes a lot of courage to have all this, such a lot of tattooing done. Next, please. Yeah, this is an Apatani gentleman who's gotten a tattooing done. Next, please. Next, please. Next slide. Yeah. Can you see the elaborate tattooing done on the arms and on the legs? This is a typical Baiga tattoo. And on the face, there is hardly any. Sorry, the forehead of the lady is not visible. But on the forehead is a three-leaved clover. That is the only tikuli they wear. But these tattoos, can you imagine the kind of timing it must take? It takes months. I mean, over the summer period, usually these 8 to 11-year-old girls have several sessions of tattooing done. Now, these tattoos represent certain things also. As next, please. Next, please. Yeah. Now you can see that the symbols, the motives, all have different meanings. Many a times, the tattoos are representative of local flora and fauna, leaves, animals, birds, which have different meaning. I have very rarely seen the tattoo of a cobra, because I'd asked one Ojinin, why don't you have this cobra? She says, no, 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 no. The cobra will come to haunt you if you have such a tattoo on your body. So there are a lot of, thought processes behind the whole idea of getting the tattooing motives and placing them at particular points on the body. Next, please. Yeah. Can you see the elaborate tattooing? And can you imagine how much time must have been taken just to do it? I'll tell you one small little field, I will say failure on my part. They don't meet you very easily, these Ojanins, until unless you're a customer. So I was there, and these Baiga houses, they're usually have a low parapet around the house. It's a mud parapet about 3 feet high, thick walled, and that's the boundary of the house. Now, every day I would go and sit on that parapet and wait for hours for the lady to open the door, see me. She probably could see me through the house somewhere, but she never came out. And it took me 3 months of patient waiting for that lady to finally acknowledge my presence. And she nodded her head and invited me to the sort of seating place right outside her house. Uh, so I sat down, and there was no talk between us. So I wanted to know her instruments. I was full of a ton of questions. I wanted to know how you do it, what is the purpose, what are the instruments you use, how do you make your inks. I mean, but all those bubbling questions could not come out till I got some acceptance from this lady. So as I was sitting, this lady just caught hold of my hand and took it towards herself, and she pushed my sleeve up on my arm, and she started feeling my forearm, and with a big smile, she sort of pointed out that a tattoo would look good. And the novice that I was, and I must say I was not a very good anthropologist or a very good researcher, because my personal fear came in, and I just pulled my arm back and said, no, 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 I don't want any tattoos done. And that closed the door for me for almost 6 months. That lady went into her house in her half. She never came back and spoke to me. It took me another 6 months of, you know, meeting her, greeting her, leaving small gifts for her. And after 6 months only could I get my interview with her. And the Oja would always laugh at me. He says, you're afraid of getting a tattoo done. And I even steel myself at one point that, okay, I will get a tattoo done even if she gets me the interview. But see, these are small failures we all have to face once in a while in the field. Coming back to our presentation, next slide, please. Yeah, the tools of tattooing in the rural areas and in the tribal areas are very simple and very crude. They are just some 4 or 5 thorns put together, and they are used, uh, you know, uh, with lamp black. Lamp black is soot diluted in some other greasy oil, turmeric, and even indigo, which is mixed either with goat milk or with water. Now, these are the dyes which are used for the thing. But the good thing is that they're using turmeric, which of course is an anti-septic thing. And that is probably why it was there. In their wisdom, they're using this. Now, the these instruments are common across the central parts of India, from Rajasthan, Bihar, onto Odisha. We have these all over. And the tattooing, more or less, is similar in all these areas. Now, next slide, please. I've spoken about the various motives. I would also like to emphasize here that there is a myth among the Baigas of Madhya Pradesh that an untattooed individual runs the risk of losing his soul in the afterlife. So, if you want to have entry into the afterlife, and if you want to have a good journey for your soul, then it is very essential that you get tattooed. Next, please. Now, among the urban areas, we have seen a lot of tattoos. They're more of religious symbols or names of people, or even some local motifs like a lotus or a tree or a peacock. And these are symbolically represented on the hands or the arms. And currently, of course, these have now transcended to all over the body, where you find people having a rose on the neck or on the back of the neck, or maybe even various other motifs. Now, urban tattoos, they are usually on the wrists, ankles, or they are hidden somewhere under the clothing. We can talk about those also. Next, please. These are some of our modern Baiga women with their tattoos. Next, please. Next, please. I would like to emphasize here that gender roles are very distinctive in these tattooing patterns. Men have different kind of stories on their tattoos. They tell different kind of stories, and women have different patterns of tattoos, which then again give them different kind of sort of a panorama of experiences which they can exhibit on their bodies itself. Now, this is a kaleidoscope of urban tattoos, which I'm showing you, where people write their names fancifully, their own names or the names of their partners or their friends, etc. Next, please. Next, please. Yeah, the next one. Now, what are the value loaded meanings and the myths attached to tattoos? Mostly, we find that cultural artifacts, stories of survival, spirituality, and identity, these are the focused areas on which most of these tattooing designs revolve, and the myths that are created as as the person grows from, say, the 8-year-old child on to a woman having lots of children. All her experiences and the stories which she hears, they form a part of the tattooing sort of canvas on her body. Next, please. Again, these are some of the symbolic meanings from all over the countries, which I have just put across. Now, like, for example, the lotus, it is supposed to symbolize purity and enlightenment. In fact, Padmasambhava, the Lord Buddha, he has been symbolized as a lotus. And many Buddhist hands, you will see, carry this tattoo. Next, please. Now, like I said, tattoos are identity markers. But in the contemporary world, you'll find people even are having their pets symbolized on their bodies. Anybody having a small puppy or a parrot or even a cat, they have the symbolic representation on their bodies. Next, please. Today, the human body has become the canvas for passing on messages also. All of us have, profound messages which we like to, which kind of make an impression on our minds. Now, if you see some of these tattoos which are represented here, where they talk of, different meanings, bring me your love, or enjoy the little things, as you can see on this arm. This is probably something which the person felt very strongly about, and therefore they wrote it on their body. Now, such messages are found in many hands today in urban areas of India. I'm sure some of our researchers who are watching this or who have friends in JNU and in Delhi and other parts of the country, they would recognize that such tattoos are now becoming very common. Now, next, please, the last slide. I would like to, end this thing with a discussion on some of the things of how do we take this forward? What are the meanings that can be ascribed to this? How are we evolving in this? One very major thing is, which I know will happen one of these days, when some wise person will think that, oh, it's easy to take technology to the tribals. So they might wind up their whole business here in the urban areas and move down to the tribals. But will that be a good thing? Should we preserve those old ways of doing the tattoos? Or is tattooing going to go out totally and come again in a new form? Or are we going to close one door and are there going to be other doors opening? I would like to open this for discussion, and I hope you enjoyed the images as well as the presentation. Thank you so much. Over to you, Dr. Sunita.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rajni. It was such an interesting lecture and so much of meanings behind the tattoos, which we see as modern art. But now we can understand how such an old tradition, which we have for centuries, within our Indian context. And not just the Janjatis, I have seen on my grandmother's big tattoo, and that's more like a what we call rangoli. They are very beautiful patterns, and that to be done with those spoken needle, simple technology. And now, if you look at the tattoos, they are done by machines, like which actually cuts through the skin, but I think they last more than the needle and spoke. But beautiful meanings. I think this is body art forms, which looks wonderful, and and you have given very interesting meanings behind those, because in modern art we hardly believe in meanings and we just have some scripts written, but definitely and beautiful slides. I really enjoyed the lecture. I'm sure all other participants must have enjoyed. So I open up the session for queries or questions. We have very senior scholars, Professor S.B. Roy, Professor Ota, Dr. Vijay Prakash, my colleague, Professor Sachidanand Sangamitra has joined, and also Professor Basa. Sir, I think you missed the main lecture, but I'm sure you can have your questions, and Dr. Rajni can share with you. And from Hyderabad also, we have a couple of colleagues who have joined, Srinivasu and Pramila and others.